a very good morning to you. Obviously, a very distressing press conference, and we obviously couldn't say some of the details of it because they are too gruesome. I suppose what people are now beginning to wonder, Areva, is why he hasn't been arrested or, I think, even questioned yet.
Yeah, a couple of things are happening, both in New York, Los Angeles, and in London. We now know that law enforcement agencies in all three of those cities are asking victims to come forward, and they have opened investigations. They are looking very seriously at all of these allegations that have been made against Harvey Weinstein, and they are encouraging women to speak up, because if any of the claims of sexual assault fall within the applicable statute of limitations for criminal sexual assault, these law enforcement agencies, district attorneys have indicated a willingness to go forward and file criminal charges against Harvey Weinstein.
So the fact that he's not been arrested yet and not been questioned by any police force yet doesn't mean that they're dragging their feet. They're basically, as we say in this country, they're getting their ducks in a row. They're getting as much evidence as they can in place before they pull him in. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, Richard. Most of the allegations of rape or non-consensual sex happened several years ago, in some cases even a decade ago or so. So when you think about a classic rape or sexual assault case, when it happens and someone goes immediately to law enforcement, there's forensic evidence, there's a rape kit, there's DNA. But if we're talking about claims of sexual assault or rape that happened over a decade ago, we aren't going to have that kind of evidence, that kind of DNA and other kinds of evidence that you would see, forensics that you would see in a case that's reported right away. So you're going to have allegations of the victim, and the police, the law enforcement agencies, have to weigh the credibility of that victim. They have to look for other kinds of evidence to support the claims before they can move forward in either an arrest or charges being filed against the alleged perpetrator, in this case, Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, and almost, I suppose, the bigger chilling effect of it, beyond the criminal case, is what it's doing to the culture of that industry and now the fashion industry and other industries. What are you sensing over there about the effect it's having on the conversations that people are having in public life about how men treat women?
I think something very positive is happening. When you look at the history of sexual harassment in the workplace, we can date it back to about 25 years ago when Anita Hill, a law clerk, came forward and accused then Clarence Thomas, who was being confirmed for the United States Supreme Court, and we had these very public hearings about her sexual harassment by Clarence Thomas, who was being nominated for the Supreme Court. And if you look at what happened over the last 25 years, in some ways we've made a lot of progress. Some laws have been enacted to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace, to make it unlawful. But in a lot of ways, not very much progress at all was made. Women suffered retribution. They suffered retaliation when they came forward. So with the 60-plus allegations that have been made against Weinstein, we're seeing people come forward in the tech industry. There was a big article today in the papers about the military and other forms of government and private companies. So there's a shift in the culture where women are feeling emboldened, they're feeling empowered to come forward and report these claims, I think, in a way that's historic.
Well, that's good to hear. Just coming back to Weinstein himself and these specific allegations which emerged overnight, as we've said all the way through this, we can't go into the detail, but, I mean, my stomach turned when I read what he's alleged to have done. And I thought I was fairly inured to Weinstein stories. Do you think that there's even worse to come out now? Because having read the detail of this allegation, it seems that his contempt for women was absolute.
Yeah, the production assistant that we saw in that press conference, the level of details that she gave during that press conference, it was really enough to make your stomach turn. It was nauseating, just horrific the details of what happened to her. And sadly to say, the pressure that men in powerful positions like Harvey placed on young women who were interested in pursuing their careers, hoping that by meeting him in his hotel room, meeting him in private places, that somehow it would advance their careers. But being very clear that they said no, that they rebuffed his advances, that they made it very clear that they were not romantically or sexually interested in him, but yet he persisted, yet he used his power, his influence to really intimidate them and bully them. And I think that's what's so sad about this. And we should not forget the growing number of people that apparently had some knowledge about what was happening and turned a blind eye.